Whoa. Did we go live?
I think so. How did that happen?
Is this being recorded?
I don't think so.
Are we on public record? Can people hear what we are saying right now?
Yes. What we say will be both heard and used against us forever.
Let me call my attorney. I want him present.
I wonder if there is such a thing as a YouTube attorney who's just there to make sure that you.
Who is that who lurketh?
Who lurketh?
Dave.
What's happening, guys?
Dave, it's good to hear from you, man.
How's my audio? I got to check my settings. My audio okay?
It's a little bassy, but yeah.
I didn't change any settings.
But it's not too bad. I'll turn you up a little bit.
Okay.
I could do.
I know I had a little trouble last time, but I don't ever go on. I hardly ever come on, so
I know.
I don't know. I mean, this is fairly new. I've been on with this restream a few times. I don't seem to have any problem with it, really.
Yeah, it seems. Yeah, you seem to be okay now.
Now, I know a few days ago you had your granddaughter over. Did y'all have fun then?
Oh yeah, she's great. She stops by, fairly often. Sometimes once a week, maybe a little less than that. Her mother stops by, and her mother goes tanning. So her mother stops by, drops her off, goes tanning, and then comes back. And so they visit, here and there. And Lily, she stopped by, and she said, "Grampy, take me to the store and buy me." She wanted me to buy her. She likes those sour octopus thingies. Like the little gummy sour octopus things. She loves those. She's bring me to the store. So of course, Grampy doesn't get to do that too often anymore. So I brought her down the store and spent like $20 on her at the convenience store.
Did she pick up a roll? Did she pick up a roll of duct tape?
No, I wouldn't allow that. No, we stay away from the duct tape.
Okay.
Oh yeah, we're grabbing soda and ice cream and all kinds of shit.
You've just got too many skin horror stories from ripping off that duct tape.
Yeah. She loved that though. Oh my God, she had fun with that. Grampy didn't have too much fun, but she loved it. Oh yeah, the good old days, right?
Yep.
Good old days of duct tape.
So, how old is she now?
She's 5.
Oh my God! Wow.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep. Kids are growing up.
Yeah,
they're growing up.
We haven't done a weather report for a while, so I thought I would name this the weather report.
Yeah.
Because I went
kind of changed things up. Yeah.
Yeah, I went off on a different tangent about 5 or 6 months ago. So.
Yeah.
I don't know. And God, the other night, I was eating. I bought melatonin gummies, right? And they are so fucking good.
Melatonin, that'll put you to sleep, right? Do you use it for sleeping?
Well, yeah, I take it as a supplement, for its antioxidant properties, and it also kind of, allows me to pass out a little easier.
Yeah.
And except that I'm not sure how many I ate, but then I went and took my blood pressure, and it was 94/43. And then I took it the next morning, and it was 95/44 or something. And I took it this morning, and I'm back up to like 145/90, which is, so I took my blood pressure medicine again. I skipped it yesterday because I thought, what the fuck is going on? But I don't know if melatonin can do that to you or something really.
Apparently it can. I mean, that's pretty low.
I wonder if 6 grams
would-
of psilocybin would lower your blood pressure.
Yeah, I would think that would. Yeah,
It might.
probably.
That would be something to look up. But they don't have a. Well, they might have some sort of physician's drug reference entry for psilocybin. I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah, you
Um,
should be able to maybe look that up and find.
Did I
some
say drug?
information.
I think it's called the physician's desk reference, but it contains all the drugs and information about them.
Yeah, I'm just like randomly asking that question for no reason at all.
Yeah. It's something good to ask when even when you're not talking about that topic.
Right. Yeah, I'm just wondering. Association between lifetime classic psychedelic use and blood pressure, but double-blind placebo. No,
I don't know.
no.
What do you think? That blood pressure almost sounded too low. That wasn't too low, was it?
Well,
Do you think?
it's getting
was
it's
pretty
getting
low.
close to though.
Yeah, that's pretty.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, other things can cause low blood pressure, like the congestive heart failure condition where there's fluid around the heart.
Yeah.
All sorts of things.
Yeah, well, normally, like when you're in hospice and you're dying, your blood pressure drops. Starts to drop at around 90/40, right? And then they say, oh, he isn't going to live much longer. He only has a few hours left. Well,
Yep.
psilocybin causes ego death. So, is there a connection?
Like maybe ego is responsible for a bunch of
Blood pressure? I don't know. Who knows? So, anyway,
Have you put the link in our little thread with James?
I did not, but I did.
Yeah, he's in the side chat now. Of course, I'm not sure if he'll be able to make it.
I emailed Mr. A Person a link.
Oh, well, there you go. Never mind.
So that was an interesting stream the other day. You got Crocoduck there coming. That was great conversations you had going there.
Yes,
It was very interesting.
That was pretty good.
he is.
So he's interested, obviously, because you did cover in some of his videos and stuff. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
He and I seem to be on the same page pretty much with philosophy of science and physicalism.
that's cool. Yeah.
In fact, he even said we're on the same page at one point when I explained to him that when I'm talking about truth, I do it with a lowercase t, not a capital T. So,
Yep.
Anyway,
And he's got a PhD, doesn't he? What's his education?
I believe molecular biologist well, he's a biophysicist. So he's working in medical biophysics right now, working on cancer research and targeting cells. I was hoping he was into biological condensates, which are kind of cool, but biological condensates are weird little things in the cell that act like organelles or cell membranes, but there is no membrane. They're just clusters of various proteins that cluster together, and they create a mini laboratory inside the cell for certain that allows certain things to come together, but not other things. Hey, Danny, you old fucking weenie. There's Danny.
Oh. Hey, Danny.
You old weenie.
Losers. Boy.
Danny's a big TikToker now or something like that? Or
Yeah.
Well, he has conversations with theists and other people about different topics. Like there's one that he uploaded, I guess, yesterday about against some other Christian about morality, the basis of morality, and apparently it got heated, and the guy kicked him off. So I'm gonna have to go back and watch that.
Really? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, he's very successful. It's a good format, and it's enjoyable.
Yeah. Well, I didn't know you could, like, are you limited in what length you can do on TikTok? I thought they were like shorts or something.
Well, that's a great question for Danny. I'm not sure. Maybe as long as it's, I don't know. I don't know how TikTok works.
They have TikTok Live too, right? I don't go on it, but I mean, Danny does these basically.
Yeah, he does
like
live,
YouTube.
so they're all live.
Yeah.
Well, I just yesterday drove my son to rehab and checked him in for a 30-day treatment for TikTok addiction. So I'm not doing it. I'm not I'm not going down that same road. I watched it destroy his life. In fact, him trying to make coffee while he's watching TikTok. It's tragic. It was tragic.
Danish Debater is in the side chat.
Yep.
I think I've already told him that I enjoyed his analysis of that. Do you remember what it was, James? Don't you?
I did a whole stream about it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Did you know that, Danish Debater, that James Iperson did a reaction to your video? Anyway, it was a good approach. I really like it.
So yeah, his channel has real potential. He's got real talent for that stuff. And everybody's got their own voice, right? Everybody's got their own style, how they approach things. I agree with everything that he said, right? He laid out his case very well. It's just that I'm never satisfied unless I get to go on a rant about something, and so that's what I added to it.
Right.
So I agreed with him, but I like, but let's turn this into a rant first. So that's what I do.
Yeah, you see what Danny's writing there. Yeah, there's a lot more people, I think, on TikTok. Like, you can see one of them, he had 2,200 people watching. And
yeah, because it requires zero commitment.
Yeah.
Well, kids today.
Yeah. Do I have a kitty? I have a Thor kitty. Hi, Thor. Thor doesn't get on camera very much. So, where are you, Thor?
How's Snack doing? Snack's getting big, right?
Yes. Yeah, Snack is still just crazy Snack.
Yeah.
On Sunday night, we had some wind, and Snack was out looking out into the forest when this big gust of wind blew up, and he came flying in the house at 110 miles an hour through the cat door, flew all the way up to the third floor.
Really?
Then he ran back down, and I went outside to watch the wind, and he went flying through the cat door and ran up to the fence again, and he's looking at it, and his hair's sticking all out, and the wind came up again, and then boom, he was back through the cat door at 100 miles an hour. I don't know why that cat is still alive. The speed that he travels through the house, if he hits something, he's dead. I mean, he's just going to disintegrate.
Yeah.
He's going to be like a blob of cat goo.
Oh my gosh.
It's horrible. Yep. My other cats just sit there and watch them like, what the fuck is wrong with this cat?
Yeah.
They're pretty
My
chill.
son just put his cat down just recently.
Oh,
It's like a week ago, 2 weeks ago, something like that. Yeah. I can't remember what the hell was wrong with it now. I don't know. For some reason, I'm drawing a blank, but he had to put the cat down.
There's a Thor.
Thor!
Thor,
Nice.
you're on TV. Everybody can see you. Boy, that white is really like almost washed out. That's a lot of white nose.
Well, Leo, I'm sorry you had to put your cat down.
It's a Thor.
Yep.
Oof, that's awful.
Oh, kidney failure. How old, Leo? It's a lot tougher.
Oh, kidney failure, yeah.
Yeah, we had a 20-year-old cat that we put down a couple of years ago, and that was hard. But 20 years, I mean, that's a long time for a kitty.
Yeah, yeah.
That was a while. So did you want to talk about Ken Ami, or whatever the hell his name is?
Yeah, we had a gentleman who has he's done some debates online. Ken Ami, wrote a little snarky comment about basically what's wrong with lying if you're an atheist. How can you essentially wanted to know how we can justify objecting to lying, since obviously we have no moral foundation or whatever. And so I asked him, Speed actually asked him, how do you think? How do you think that, the question's right there. So you can't think of any reason why dishonesty is wrong outside of your religion? And because when my thinking is we get these questions like this, it's not a real honest invitation to engage in a dialogue. It's the usual pre-supper, um, plan to get you in some sort of conversation, but have them guide it or have them control it. And so, how do you know if somebody's interested in dialoguing with you? See if they can still man your position, and then go from there. And so that's
And
kind
then
of
he responded with exactly the same question, right?
yeah. He's saying, "Well, you didn't answer my question. Here's my question." And so basically, I speed explained because I was explaining Speed's position when I was putting mine out there actually. So but basically, I said I can't find my response.
It's on the screen right in front of you if you're looking at YouTube at all.
Yeah, I think Speed was asking for you to show him. Oh yeah, you show me mine. I show me yours. In other words, your reasoning, because we see that question as silly and uncharitable.
Yeah.
I think my line was any human being above a third grade education level should be able to think of reasons apart from religion why lying would be wrong. And so then he did you're using this fallacy and that fallacy kind of reason. I thought, and I just said, no, I'm not in. This is not a persuasive essay. It's not a debate. I'm just trying to figure out if you're being genuine or not.
Yeah. Well, wait a minute. Okay, I'm unsure why you're. So the next response that he had was, "I'm unsure why you're playing mind reader, but pulling a." I can't even.
Tukokay or whatever.
Tukokay fallacy won't answer the question, and that was the only thing he said. And then, let's see. Okay, so then he says, "What I don't understand at the moment is that you seem to have begun with the asserted conclusion that there's something wrong with lying, but why and how on atheism." And again, he kind of repeated the same thing over again. I realize that when he fails time and again to even attempt to begin to answer a simple question, then his atheist comrades come to attempted rescue, but that doesn't answer that he seems to have begun with the asserted conclusion that there's something wrong with lying, but why and how on atheism? Well, no, it isn't why and how on atheism. It's why and how on human being in a society called Minnesota. Why is lying wrong? I mean, is lying different in Texas? I don't know. Or, I mean, dude, lying is wrong in every culture I've ever heard anything about. Have you heard of a culture where lying is considered a wonderful thing?
I've heard of a culture where being deceptive is
Oh, wait a minute. YouTube.
Yeah, YouTube. There's some tribe in South America. This is just like a big considered a big win for some missionary or so, out there. They heard the gospel and they were very entertained by the story of Judas Iscariot betraying Jesus, because they highly valued, their highest value was being able to trick somebody else in matters of trading and politics and things like that. So if lying were part of that, then yes, lying is valued in certain cultures, but very rarely.
Culture. Okay, no word for lying. Telling lies for better. I'm trying to Google that culture because we got to check these facts, right? Okay, no word for lying. Bill has already told us something about Western Apache and the information about the lying related vocabulary. Let's see, telling lies for a better world. I can't find anything about a South American tribe that thinks lying is okay. Anyway, my question to him was, are you a human being? Do you think lying is okay? Do you need God to tell you that lying is not good? Like, are you an adult? Or, basically, are you an adult human being who has no reason to think that lying is bad? That was my question for him, and he never answered the question. So my counter question, because yeah, I think his question was so ridiculous because it has nothing to do with atheism. Atheism doesn't have a prescription about lying, does it?
No.
No. Atheism means I don't believe in God.
Yeah. How many of them out there think that atheism is a religion, and they just
Yeah.
they've got themselves convinced, and,
Yeah.
and it's always they're trying to put us on the same playing field. You know what I mean? That's part of that.
Yeah, they see everything through the lens of their own
Right.
really distorted reality.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
That we have to go to the church of atheism every Sunday and
Yeah.
and speak in tongues with our buddies.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
And the way that I would respond to that question, what's wrong with lying? What was the original question? What's wrong with lying on atheism?
Yeah. Let's go back to it.
Yeah.
You seem to have begun with the asserted conclusion that there's something wrong with lying, but why and how on atheism?
Okay. All right. So here's the why. Because ever since we come out of mama's womb and were raised by her, we were conditioned, for the most part, not to lie, and that we should feel bad when we lie to somebody. Very often we're told why, whether each family has the same reason that lying is wrong. We're very much conditioned to believe that lying's wrong. Then our daddy and our siblings, they reinforce that. We get out into society, that's reinforced, and so we have this ingrained feeling in us that when I tell a lie, I feel bad, and that's usually true because, we don't necessarily know why at first. We just know that we're not supposed to lie, and I feel bad when we lie, but it's our conditioning. As we grow, we develop our own thoughts about moral issues, and so we conclude lying is wrong because nobody can trust each other. Nobody can get along if they lie to me, or if I lie to you. Nobody has any trust. And surely there's some people in this world I can go to and know that they're not going to lie to me.
So I'm at a grocery store, and I've got an item, and there's no price tag on it, and it's a bag of melatonin gummies. And I asked the worker at the grocery store, or Target, I asked the Target guy, how much are these gummies? And he said, oh, they're 39 cents. And I get to the counter, and they're $49. Okay, and he lied to me, right? What's going to happen? I mean, is that going to work out for society where Target employees lie to you about the price of things, and you run up to the checkout counter, look at your receipt, and say, fuck you? And, it obviously isn't going to work out. And then if you lie about something like, oh my God, yesterday I scored 12 goals on the football game. And then somebody goes and asks somebody else, it's like, no, he wasn't even playing. I mean, then you're going to have to explain yourself, right? And you're going to be in kind of a precarious position. So everybody knows that lying is not a good idea for those reasons. You don't need your mom to condition you, or your tribe to condition you that lying is a bad thing. It's obvious to anybody that lying just doesn't fucking work out, right? So, I mean, it's like a reasonable position.
The counter argument that a lot of theists might give was that, well, that's fine and everything, but there's no foundation to that. There's nothing that objectively, says that lying is wrong, and therefore you might just decide to lie because, I mean, if it's not really wrong, if it's just conditioned, then you can condition yourself out of it, which is true for what's the percentage of sociopaths and psychopaths out there? I don't know. It's low. It's true for that number of people. It's true for politicians. It's true for lots of people who condition themselves. It's a lot for a lot of pastors and deacons and church members who condition themselves out of valuing telling the truth. What happens though is we convince ourselves that we can lie, and then most of us will get away with lying for a while, but then our conscience bothers us, and we also come to realize the value of telling the truth. And so then we decide, I need to quit lying. I need to face up to the truth. Maybe they grow so much as to believe I need to make amends for the lies I've told and the harm I've done through lying. Most people are going to go through some sort of cycle like that, but quite a few, enough won't, to where obviously we have problems in the world that we have to make laws about telling the truth and lying to people. But it's something that begins with conditioning, and as we process things, we may develop independent ideas about the moral value or the moral consequences of lying. The reason why it seems like it's so foundational maybe upon God is because a lot of people are raised in church right at the same time they're being conditioned not to lie, and so they're also conditioned to believe God is the reason why lying is wrong.
Well, the reason most of these morals seem so foundational that God must have sent them down from on high is that most societies, most primate cultures, tribes, whatever, or groups of people will rationally conclude these morals are the right way to go by the time they're 6 years old. And it doesn't require any subjective conditioning where people just randomly choose a moral. Okay, it's all done with reason. And reason, it falls out of the structure of our culture, our society, the organism that we are. So I mean, saying that subjective is even a fucking possibility is wrong. There's nothing subjective about most core morals. Thou shalt not kill. Thou shalt not break brother's arm. All of that shit. That's going to fall naturally and rationally out of any group of primates that gathers into a family, tribe, etc. Right? So I mean, it's so this idea that it's subjective or it's moral relativism is bullshit. There are foundations for morals that fall out of the structure of what we are as organisms.
Like you were saying, I mean, if you act immorally, it's going to cause you problems, right? And people do not want to have problems. It can cause you mental problems. It can cause you physical problems. It can, all of those things. And nobody wants that. So when you act immorally, those things are going to happen. You act morally, you live in a better life. And it's as simple as that. And, nobody wants to have mental or physical problems. So you're just gonna naturally act that way. It's simple.
Right.
How hard is that?
Yeah, and the interesting thing is that we are, primates with this well-developed cognitive capacity that we can sort of figure out future consequences, right, from something that we do. And if I lie and tell you that I'm the one that scored 12 goals at the football game yesterday and I wasn't even in the game, I can project ahead 2 days and know that you're going to, find out that, no, I'm lying to you. And then I'm going to be embarrassed and that's going to hurt me. And those are just simple facts about what you are as an organism that's going to design that morality for you. And so I guess I'm what I could be called a moral objectivist. I don't know, because I believe it falls out of the nature of the structure of what we are as organisms, that morality, most morality. Of course, when you run into the trolley problem, right? Well, then we got to think harder. Then we end up with, like all of a sudden, the nature of what we are is going to be a little bit fuzzy, and we're going to have a little trouble deciding whether to throw the switch or not, right?
Mm-hmm. Wouldn't that have been impressive if there was a book in Bibles that say God's answers to all possible trolley problems, how to sort it out?
That would have been impressive. Yes, I would have been impressed with that. Where is the verse on the trolley problem?
Yeah, especially if it were written like 3000 BC and nobody had invented the trolley yet.
Right. Well, they could just call it the right. They could just call it the
The switching
carriage
problem,
problem,
or
the chariot problem,
the fork in the road
some
problem.
fork in the
The
road
fork in
problem.
the
I
road.
don't know. I'm going to give this some thought later about what would be the Iron Age or Bronze Age equivalent of the trolley.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
they
but
would all have to know what it is,
But
and
you know, having them put words in the Bible about lying and killing. I mean, Jesus Christ, duh, God, we knew that. Give us some really good stuff like the trolley problem. Give us a solution. Tell us what the biblical way to do that is.
or at least
I mean,
give us the cure for cancer.
Yeah,
I don't care
shit
about
that's
mine.
useful. Yeah, not not stuff that we all knew anyway.
By the way, James, you had posted or pulled up a meme or something, and we didn't.
Do you want to see it
Yeah,
again?
I didn't want to pass it by.
Yeah. So this was relevant to what we were talking about earlier. There it is. I went ahead and
Yeah,
add
that's
that back in.
very
So,
well put.
yeah, I think of that every single time they try to pull that stunt.
Oh, okay. You act just
Right.
like we do. Yeah. And we're trying to say you act just like we do. So the thing is, everybody acts the same. Religion doesn't make a goddamn difference, unless, of course, you're trying to socialize and make friends and do good in the community. And then any community group is doing good.
Yep.
Yeah. So what I realized about that after further reflecting on it with discussions and observations like at Bread of Life, for example, is that what they're really saying is we reserve the right to think a certain way, right? And indulge in certain fallacies and what have you. But if you do the same, then you're going to hell, right? You guys are awful. So you're not allowed to indulge in any of the things that we indulge in. So we can be a religion, but if we think that you're being a religion, then somehow you're being immoral. But when we're a religion, it's perfectly moral. We can indulge in the idea of just basing our view of the world in the context of a story. Somebody gives us a story we like, and we're like, oh, okay, well, that's my new reality. But if they think that atheists are doing the same thing, well, that's immoral. You guys are going to hell, right? It's just this set of ideas where they're allowed to have fantasy creatures as part of a story, build their entire view of themselves on stories that they have no real evidence for, and that's fine. But if they even suspect you're doing the same with science or with anything else, philosophy, then you're going to hell, right? It's just that kind of a thing. They know that they're doing a shitty thing, but it's good if they do it. It's just wrong if we do it.
Morena has the answer to the trolley problem here, which I approve of. This channel approves of this answer.
Yeah, I like that answer.
Yeah. run away,
Nice.
sort of. Yeah.
I think the cure to most quote unquote sins or most problems in society would be to think of the insurance consequences.
Yes.
I think I'm going to start calling her moral Marina as the solution to everything. Stop and think of the insurance consequences.
Yep.
I think it's Morena.
It's going to be universal because I think everybody knows what insurance. I bet that tribe that nobody gets to go visit upon pain of death, I think they probably know what insurance consequences are. I think it's universal, and it's catchy. I think you could form a religion, or at least some sort of political party around it. Stop and think of the insurance consequences.
Okay, and I can't find any tribe that thinks lying is okay in South America. So
no, they value deceitfulness.
Yeah, well,
that's the thing. And the tribe that thought Judas Iscariot was the hero of the Gospels or something.
Okay, so we got a mom and we got a 4-year-old, and Spot, the puppy, my favorite puppy, has disappeared from the family, and Spot is no longer with us. And so the 4-year-old asked Mommy, "Where's Spot?" And Mommy says, "Oh, well, Spot went off to the happy puppy hunting ground, and he's playing with his friends, and he can't be with us right now or anymore for a little while. Now,
Yeah.
if she read the Bible, she would say, "Oh, Spot ran out on the road yesterday, and he got squashed into a jelly-like blob of goo and guts." Right? So, I mean, we value lying in some cases, don't we? Like, I don't think you'd
Yeah,
want
we
to tell
do.
it for you, even though I'm afraid that I did. Well, Muffin, when Muffin died, my kids were 4. I did talk to him a little bit about death, but I didn't lie to them about Muffin and say that Muffin went off to the happy hunting ground. Muffin's real name was Mephistopheles.
I found it for you, Speed.
Oh, you did? Where?
Okay, look in the private chat.
Okay. Let's just check the fucking facts here. Peace Child Summer? What are you talking about?
Yeah, that's the book by the missionary that encountered the tribe. Now, what they would do is, it was interesting too. You can find a very excellent critique. At least I find a critique in there. I make a critique of the missionary effort, the imperialism of it as well. But basically, the idea is that there was these 2 warring tribes, and Don Richardson was a missionary who came in to try to, establish a church and share the gospels among one of the tribes. And anytime he would share the gospel, tell the story of Jesus and how Judas Iscariot betrayed him, and they would think of Judas Iscariot as the hero of the story and not Jesus, because craftiness, deceitfulness was a thing they just really thought was great. And so by their values, they thought Judas was the hero and not Jesus. And so they learned of a the peace child part of it's really not relevant. The peace child part of it is when 2 tribes in that area were warring, the firstborn son of the chief, I think, would be given to the chief of the other tribe, and vice versa. And they would raise that child, and as long as the 2 tribes' children were in the other person's camp, so to speak, they couldn't go to war. They wouldn't go to war. And so instead of Judas being the hero, now they understood the gospel in terms of the peace child, like Jesus is the peace child from God to humanity. That has nothing to do with the point I was trying to make, which is they valued deceitfulness and craftiness above everything else.
Yeah, but I don't think that would apply to lying to each other, or lying when trading, or lying within their village or whatever. And it's just, and what is this guy's degree in? This guy that wrote this book that studied this culture, because the Sawi culture. Okay, yeah, I mean, there's a whole lot of cultural. That's basically amounts to a religion having been created in this tribe about cycles of violence and all of that in the Sawi culture. And I don't think that answers the question of just, is lying wrong amongst 2 friends or whatever. I mean, it isn't like they sit around all day and try to think up lies to tell each other, and they think that's the way we should, live our lives, right? So I reject your tribe.
Right. I mean, they're very conflicted about it, anyways. They're against lying, and yet they lie all the time. Right. Their God is against lying, and yet he lies all the time, even in the stories.
Right.
They can't decide, but I mean, even and they do, and they make excuses for it, right? I mean, most of them in America tell their children about Santa Claus. They know that shit ain't true, right? It's like, but it's a harmless lie, right? And if your wife says, does my butt look big in these, in this pants or this dress or whatever?" then your answer is going to depend on which answer is the right one. You're not going to, not whether or not it looks big. Does she want her butt to look big? In which case the answer is yes, honey. You got some junk going on, and she's going to say thank you. Right? But if she doesn't want to hear that, then the answer is fucking no. It doesn't look big in that dress, right? It's just,
Yeah, and I think there are carefully crafted myths and lies that work basically to make peace among people that would be valued even in our society. I mean, there are times when we believe in lie, like when my mom was 1 day away from dying. I told her that I believed in God now. I lied to her.
Oh yeah, I'm planning on lying to my mom when she's getting ready to die.
Yeah,
I'm planning on it.
I mean, what the hell?
Yep, exactly. That's the right thing to do. And this is the problem with obedience as a virtue, as the foundation of their moral system, because if you don't understand why it's wrong to lie, then you don't know when it's okay not to, and when it's okay, when it's okay to lie. You don't know because you're waiting for a daddy to tell you, like you're some 6-year-old, what you're supposed to do and what you're not supposed to do. Being an adult means understanding the reasons for a thing. Why is it wrong? Why, and then you'll know when it's right. You'll know when it's wrong, or at least you'll be empowered to make reasonable choices, even if they're not perfect choices, right? If their religion as a framework for their morality isn't reasonable, they can't even afford to live consistently by it because they're forced into making exceptions to the very rules which they swear are absolute. They don't even know, right? So their whole religion's just a mess, right? Are we going to make decisions that are questionable? Sure. But everybody does, even if you are religious, right? And sometimes you regret it. An hour later, a day later, a decade later, you go, shit, you know what? I should have said this thing differently, done this thing differently. But that's true of everyone, religious and non-religious. All we can do is the best we can do. And most of life's really important questions aren't answered or even addressed in that damn book. And that's just the way that it is.
Yep. So now,
sorry, end of rant. I got a call coming in. I'll shout back. I'll chime back in as soon as I'm done with this call.
Okay, gotcha.
All right,
gotcha. So now, Wheels of NASA. The Wheels of NASA.
Or reinventing the wheel.
Where's the Wheels of NASA?
Now, a lot of you may have already seen this video from Veritasium, I think is the name of the channel. But it just had me excited about the future for just a second because, it represents what I consider an advance in metallurgy, which is kind of a boring ho-hum thing. But when you see what it can do, it's just amazing. Why don't we just start it from the beginning and let it go through the bicycling part?
We may not be able to hear it because yesterday somehow my audio failed again, but let me know if you can hear it.
It can stretch up to 30 times more than ordinary metal and still spring back to its original size.
I can feel it in my hands shrinking back.
Because of these unique properties, it's being used in everything from medical devices to toys to bulletproof bike tires. And it's allowing NASA to reinvent the wheel for space exploration.
This is the bones of the tire.
The bones of the tire is a slinky.
So basically, this is the slinky applied to the rim.
You just wrapped a slinky around a rim.
Yeah, it doesn't get any simpler than that, right? Here is a bicycle that has slinkies inside a polymer. If you look inside there.
This tire does not require air pressure to work. The structure and shock absorption are all provided by that metal slinky.
So that's like around 100 PSI, or what a normal road bike would feel like.
Yeah. Which means you should be able to puncture it with no loss of performance. So we're going to drive it over a bed of nails. But first, we'll test a traditional pneumatic tire, just to make sure these nails are sharp.
Another puncture, another flat tire.
This one kind of expected. So now I'm going to put these airless tires to the test, driving over the same bed of nails.
Here we go.
I heard a lot of pops. I must have hit some nails. I don't feel anything different. Still rides well. I'm gonna get up some speed.
That's definitely a nail.
Like the nail broke in it. Why is it?
That's what it looks like.
Yeah, the nail's in the tire.
We're now gonna try to shoot a bullet into the tire and see what happens.
3, 2, 1.
Okay, Dandykins, real quick.
Yeah. Don't do this at home, kids.
Isn't this amazing? It can take a bullet, and you'll see that it'll still ride. And of course, it's not like bulletproof in the sense, and Speed had to correct me on this. Stuff still penetrates it and goes through it, but it maintains that pressure against the pavement, and so you can just ride away. You don't have flat tires.
Right. And I suggested that.
I mean, the bullet's just penetrating the rubber on the outside. That's all. It's
Yeah. And I suggested that bikers in Murderapolis, which is where I live, Murderapolis, Minnesota, that the bikers down there should get these bulletproof tires. But then we were musing that what about the bikers? You know, they would need the same ability to, so we'd have to put them in the blood veins of all humans so that they would automatically seal up after you take a bullet in Minneapolis. So we got a bit of a problem in Minneapolis.
I remember being out on a bike trail many a time where, 2 or 3 miles or more away from where I'd parked, and then getting a flat and, rain coming down and having to do something about changing the tire, the tire tube or whatever, in the rain. And that was miserable. Or the other choices, if you didn't have the stuff you need, like if I didn't have an extra tube or whatever, or a patch kit, that patch material that you put in there, having to just walk your bike 3 miles in the rain, which is miserable.
Yeah, it wouldn't work as a bulletproof vest.
Right. Yeah, it's not going to deflect the bullets, but
anyway. Okay, so let's.
So my question is: this new, Scott? You were saying, or like, how new is this?
Yeah, it's how's the video? Let me take a look. I technically I don't know how new it is, but they've been working on it for a while.
2 days ago, yeah, they've been working on it for a while. But there's other things about this metal that are pretty fascinating.
Yeah,
and I'm going to jump ahead here in a minute.
There it is.
There it is.
Woo, look at that! Wow. It's a really clean shot straight through.
Yep. Barely even see the mark on the tire. Looks like this one actually hit the
Alloy?
Yep. It does to me.
Yeah, that's what it feels like.
You can see we spliced off some of the bullets before we even got to the cardboard.
How's it ride?
Yeah, no problems. Bulletproof bicycle.
There you go. And then let's see, what do they talk about? They're talking about the rover, and then they're talking.
Ultimately, they could even fracture.
Right?
Yeah, and you kinked it too.
Kinked it and stretched it.
And that's why every component of a space vehicle is designed never to stretch more than that 0.3 to 0.8%. But that's a significant limitation. There is a different type of wheel that NASA has tried in space, which are those on the Apollo Lunar Roving Vehicle, or LRV.
That particular structure that they built is something that we call a pantograph. All it is it's a set of wires that have been over, under woven.
And this on the surface here to get grip, also to strengthen?
It's primarily to ensure that the tire does not sink into the ground. So they did some studies with these tread strips to figure out how much coverage they needed. And so they found out that roughly 50% was enough to keep the tire kind of floating on the surface and still maintain that flexibility.
The Lunar Roving Vehicle wheels worked well for the short distance journeys traveled on the moon. I mean, the farthest this vehicle ever went was 36 kilometers.
I was kind of amazed at that. I didn't think that they went that far on, the moon landings. 22 miles. That's quite a journey.
But still,
Good thing they had AAA.
these wheels needed to be designed to minimize plastic deformation of the steel mesh.
And so they put this internal structure inside there. We call it a bump stop. So as they hit a bump, and this is deformed, when it hits that, it stops the deformation to keep it just below that proportional limit where they would induce plasticity.
This wheel was good enough for the short Apollo missions, but for longer journeys, a bump stop won't be enough to prevent plastic deformation building up over time. Mesh steel wheels have been tried on Earth, but their performance does degrade over time.
This was the Mars steel spring tire we made and drove on that same test rig, and there's no fracture, but you see a lot of permanent deformation there.
What we need is a material that is strong and durable like steel, but which can endure much more strain without deforming permanently. And that is where this stuff comes in. In 1961, so cool. The Naval Ordnance Laboratory was doing experiments with different alloys involving nickel and titanium. A sample that had been repeatedly worked, heated, and cooled was shown to one of the associate technical directors, who just happened to be a pipe smoker. So he decided to see what the sample would do if he applied a bit of heat from his lighter. And when he did that, he found that the material changed shape. This shocked everyone and led to more investigations into the material, which became known as nitinol for its components, nickel and titanium, and for the Naval Ordnance Laboratory where it was discovered. So why did nitinol change shape? Well, it's really because the alloy can undergo a phase change in the solid state. In heated nitinol, the atoms are arranged in a cubic lattice arrangement, and this phase is known as austenite. But upon cooling, the atoms ease into a form known as twinned martensite. It's a messier, lower symmetry arrangement of the atoms. And in this phase, you can apply stress to the material and deform it. But unlike in an ordinary metal, this deformation is not causing bonds between atoms to break and edge dislocations moving throughout the material. Now, in this case, the crystal structure is changing once again to a detwinned form of martensite. And now, when you heat it back up, the material goes from martensite back to being austenite, which means all the atoms go back to their original locations, and so the material returns to its original shape.
We can basically set this shape as the parent known.
Now this is the really cool part. Look at that
memory shape. That's why we call it shape memory. I can stretch this out. If I cooled it down, I could stretch it out even more. But as soon as I heat it back up, it'll remember that original parent shape.
Ain't that cool?
And that's why nitinol is considered a shape memory alloy. The shape is set at...
Anyway, pretty cool, eh?
Yeah,
it's amazing stuff, and they've done stuff in airplanes with it. So it's been thoroughly worked with. So it's not new, but I don't know that it's in the market anywhere. So just be on the lookout for advertisements for stuff that are now with nitinol. It sounds almost like a nighttime cold medicine or something, but nitinol.
Take nitinol. Let's see. Don't eat melatonin gummies.
Yeah. Too much melatonin can cause a deadening effect to it. You can become less responsive to it. So,
well, there's one real cool part where they insert this like flat or thin thing into your veins, and then when it heats up, it expands the vein. So basically, it remembers the shape of the vein, right? And then they cool it off, and it becomes thin so that you can insert it into a plugged artery. And then when it warms up, it will basically open up that artery. So they're using it in stents for heart patients, which is kind of cool. I can't find that.
Sounds very expensive, though, I would imagine, right?
It's probably, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Anything NASA
so
sells.
Probably limited to where it's used. Yeah.
You've heard about their $12,000 hammers that they sell. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
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 Anyway, that's pretty cool. So that's linked in the description for anybody to check out that wishes to check it out. Yeah, what else we got? Opisthecons. Opisthecanta. So classifying life is really mind blowing. You know, you have to keep thinking, okay, is this sponge? What branch is it in? And all of that stuff. I've been working on that because I am really crap at biology and crap at classifying life. But it's crossing over into evolution so much that I'm making an attempt to get this all sorted out in my mind. And I came up with Opisthecanta this morning, which I looked up the derivation, and it basically means something sticking out of your butt. Which Opisthecanta is basically a major class of animals that covers both fungi and animals. Oh my God. It covers animals and fungi because they both have flagella, hence sticking out of your butt, right? There's something sticking out of your butt. So anyway, you are an opisthecont, and that means that there's probably something sticking out of your butt somewhere along the line, right? There's that. What else were we doing today? Not ready to talk about all that. There's got to be a real simple way to organize this stuff in one's mind from a teaching perspective. And I'm trying to find that. Because if you go to the wiki and you look at all of these trees of life, they get pretty detailed, and you end up with all this overlap, and then there's contentious trees of life and all that garbage. But anyway, they're making progress. The way they're making progress is they're tracing the basically ribosomal RNA. They're tracing the genetics of that, and we're coming up with some pretty good, accurate trees of life. Unfortunately, there are some little off animals that aren't falling in the line exactly, and the creationists are using those as, oh, they destroy the whole tree of life. No, they don't. The tree of life is pretty well established for almost everything, except there are a few things that we're having trouble fitting into that tree, a few single species. The tree of life is very much intact. We showed a thing about creationists bitching about some bird, the Hotzen or whatever, how destroyed. Like, well, it was from a Times article that said, this one bird destroys the tree of life. No, it fucking doesn't. It destroys one little tiny twig on the end of the tree of life, and that's about it.
Yeah, they're always just so desperate, right? I mean, they just have to latch on to any little thing, and it's always in desperation. I mean, look at Sal, the way he is, and all of them.
Yep.
Especially the creation. I mean, the creationists obviously are the worst because they're really desperate, right, to try to keep their garbage and to make it sound somewhat reasonable,
Yeah. Yeah. What was the Joel Duff did a video yesterday about the basically Ken Ham from AIG. He's been going after other creation institutes and other creationists because they don't think exactly like him.
Yeah.
And I think ICR, Institute for Creation Research, did some kind of an apology or something. Scott, you watched that video,
really?
Right? Yeah.
He apologized.
Yeah, first
for
of all,
what?
they have a conference coming up,
Yeah.
so they want attendees
Right.
at that conference.
Yeah.
So what they did was they responded to articles that were essentially written by Brown Shirt, who refuses to eat his vegetables, Emery Moyna. And And so they were very harsh with people who had a slightly different version of young Earth creationism that recognized some sort of evolutionary process. And so ICR did its own little response, and apparently showed a little bit of harshness as well. And they got that conference coming up, and they want people to attend and everything. So they think, well, we probably need to apologize for our attitude and call for unity and respect and everything among all young Earth believers. And so they wrote an article expressing that. And then Joel Duff commented on that article. But I think it's just they want to get as many people to that conference as possible, and having a little bit of a civil war going on and behind the scenes doesn't help promote that conference. So
yeah, the ICR article, I posted it in the description. It's right here. I'm delighted to tell you about our creation conference. Let's see here. Where are we here? Advancing creation, affirming models, or preliminary. So I'm trying to find the part where they actually apologize. You know where that is? Oh, here we go. ICR science staff vigorously advocates for positions that we deem are strongly supported by research. Blah, blah, blah. We try to emulate. Can pose a challenge to creationists and how we respond when we hear others present ideas that are different. Yeah, like evolution. And sometimes radically divergent from our own positions. At the ICC, the information and opinions span a wide range. I guess those things get pretty brutal when they start fighting about, created kinds and which created kinds are on the ark and all that bullshit.
Yeah, so is this the same article that Joel went over?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, this is it. And they also get into fights about the in the geological column, which is their favorite thing to talk about, where exactly the created pre-Noah's flood base was, right, in that column. And they have all kinds of varying ideas about that. And it was kind of fun to watch them fight with each other. Kind of like watching Praise I Am on his channel. It's pretty cool. There was another one today. Oh my God, is human sexuality binary?
Do you think these people know they have lunatics, or do you think they just kind of like it just flies over their head and they just ignore it and lie to themselves and have themselves convinced?
They're convinced that they are so in tune with what the Bible says that they can't be wrong.
Right. But I mean, they obviously are constantly being, I guess, attacked, right? Or made to look like fools. But in most cases, that just like goes right over their head. They just.
Well, right? The Bible says in the end times there will become blah, 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 whatever the darkness. Yeah. And if you're not being persecuted, you're not doing it right. So we must be doing it right.
Right. Yeah. They just use all that garbage.
Yeah, it's they gaslight themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, here's another one. The dinosaur renaissance was a movement in evolutionary dinosaur paleontology that began in the 60s. And they're talking about how suddenly they started seeing dinosaurs as warm-blooded. And to them, this is proof of Genesis somehow. That's what this article is about, the Renaissance to Reformation. Let's see, here we go. Dinosaur fossils were viewed as ancient relics from the deep time. They were believed to have existed before man, and they still believe that. I got news for you. That hasn't changed. Still believed in it all, if still believed in it all, before the flood described in Genesis. 2 centuries later, the modern evolutionary interpretation of dinosaur fossils has removed the history recorded in Genesis entirely. Sadly, many Christians have yielded to this evolutionary worldview. And then we have the beds model. Let's see, what is that? Oh, here's where they go on about Okay, there's evidence of live dinosaur activity within what are obvious flood sediments. Challengers ask, how could dinosaurs build nests, lay eggs, leave delicate trackways, and spend time scavenging vast collections of dinosaur carcasses during a catastrophic global flood? However, the beds briefly exposed diluvial sediments. That's their beds model, right? That they've come up with. Proposed by creationist Mike Ord in the last few years, explains this supposed problem. It takes account of the complex physical processes that would have occurred during the flood. In other words, they have a problem, right? They have all of these diverse fossils that we found and footprints and trackways, and they have to cram it all into 1 year of water flying over the earth in great tsunamis and receding. And they imagine that, I don't know, what the fuck do they imagine? Okay, like the fountains of the deep opened up and buried the entire earth, and then it receded. Where did it go? Where did the water go? But it's when it was receding, it was washing back and forth, and dinosaurs were like, here they say, where the hell is it? That dinosaurs were swimming around. Yeah, here. Some types of which would have been among the more buoyant species. This would have been, let's see. This would be for varying lengths of time in the early stages of the flood. Some animals would have stayed afloat by swimming. That's what they think. And then these more buoyant species would have landed on some dry land, ran around, laid some eggs, chewed on some dinosaur bones, and then got covered by another flood. That's what they think. That's what the beds model is all about. And of course, they dress this up in sciencey sounding words to make one accept a ridiculous scenario where all of this stuff happened in 1 year. So anyway, pretty cool. I'll link that one in the chat for anybody who wants to be horrified.
James Apperson has returned.
Description. Hi, James.
Hey there, guys.
Hey, James.
Yeah. We're talking about those crazy creationists.
Ah, yeah. What are they up to now?
Oh well, the dinosaur reformation. They have all this dinosaur baraminology, created kind. What kinds of dinosaurs were created? Reconstructing pre-flood dinosaur environments. They do a lot of work on that. Yeah, man. So they always standing for truth loves to say rescue device, right? What is this shit? All of this shit, but a rescue device. They're trying to explain just this like unbelievable diversity of geological formations and fossil formations. And they're trying to explain each individual part and tune it to the flood story that happened within 1 year. Does that sound like a rescue device to you?
Of course, that's what that is.
So why are they the ones that invented this rescue device term? I mean, why would, like, if I were them, I wouldn't use that fucking expression because it's going to come right back on them.
Well, I mean, that's kind of the idea. It's the same thing Trump would do, right? You identify what people are going to correctly accuse you of, and then you find a way to make them guilty of it first, so that when people point out your bullshit, it's going to sound retaliatory, right? It's just deflection. They're just trying to get ahead of it, that's all.
Stephanie Helms has once again corrected me here. Let's see. The fairy tale told in Genesis.
How's your buddy Sal doing?
He hasn't been around much.
Yeah, I know that, but did he only do the one response to Dapper's?
Yeah, I think the lying one. I don't think he's done anything recently.
Yeah.
I did see a cloud yesterday that was shaped just like Sal Cordova, though.
Yeah. Yeah, I heard about that one.
Did you hear about that one? Yeah.
Yep. Who said that? I think it was James. Yeah, James was gonna go. You mentioned that on your stream yesterday.
I did.
Yeah.
Yep.
That was fun.
I see Sal everywhere.
Yeah. Oh.
Let's see here. Sal Cordova. Let's check into what he's doing. Evidence Reasons Academy.
Oh
His
yeah,
educational channel.
there's some serious
Ooh.
science. Yeah, boy.
He did something 15 hours ago called Darwin Goes Bonkers.
Oh wow.
Wow. Darwin Goes Bonkers. Oh my goodness, it's 20 minutes
I
long.
figured he'd have to go see a therapist after Dapper's thing on his buddy there.
Look, he's named his living room Creation Evolution University.
Wow.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Pretty impressive name for a living room.
Yeah. Yep.
You know what I call mine?
A living room?
I call mine the living room.
Yeah. Me too.
Speeds. Atheist revolution.
There's a question for you that I think is a really good question here on the screen.
What's that?
It's on the screen.
Say anything about...
Oh, that's a good one.
Oh, it did not. No.
But you know, that book that King Crocoduck recommended, that he thinks exposes the social constructionism or whatever, it does have a section in there about Gödel's incompleteness theorem.
It does mention Gödel's incompleteness theorem. But no, I'd never seen a cloud shaped like Gödel's incompleteness theorem. I have not seen that. What is it? Let's see what Sel's up to. Okay, he always has these. Okay, oh yeah, he always does these cringy military things where he shows himself in his flight jacket, and he's got all this cringy fucking military bullshit. But let's see.
1995. His 1995 paper highlighted a growing suspicion. It's over. This 100 times over.
Oh god, we gotta listen to this cringy
shit. Why have we not died 100 times over?
Oh my god, that.
Why have we not died 100 times over? This rhetorical question was the subtitle of the paper.
Kondrashov wrote a book about this, right? And I happen to own the book. And in the book, they go over all the stuff about how human genomes may be suffering because humans, of course, are very, very different right now in how we treat people who are sick and dying, that sort of thing, right? And the question is whether or not our genomes are degrading. And at the end of the book, Kondrashov does not have a conclusion. Even though he wrote this thing, why have we not died 100 times over, which is a rhetorical question, Sel. He's not saying we should have died 100 times over. It's a fucking rhetorical question in the title of a paper that he fucking wrote. It's not a fact. Okay, this is not a fucking fact. It's just like, what is wrong?
Sel thinks it is, though.
He thinks it's a fucking fact. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because Kondrashov wrote it.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, I mean, it's the opposite of a fact because he asked that question.
Right.
What you're really saying is, here's why we shouldn't have died 100 times over by now.
Yeah.
Right. Obviously, that's the lead in. Like, how can Sal not know that?
Well, I could pull the paper.
Well, it's easy when you delude yourself into what he does, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's cherry picking quotes, which is what they do best. They're the best.
Yeah, they're kings at that. Yeah. Yep.
They should be out west picking cherries because God, they're good at it.
Yeah.
We don't need immigrants to pick our cherries.
I watched the debate that Grayson just did the other day with Kent Hovind, and I couldn't even get to the halfway point. I couldn't listen to Hovind.
I know.
It was just like, oh God, listen to that guy. It's just makes you want to throw up.
Yep.
And I like to support Grayson and always checking out his stuff, and I like to listen to him destroy people, but it's just you just can't listen to Hovind.
I've never made it more than 15 minutes on a Hovind debate, no matter who's debating him.
Yeah. You just can't get through it. It's terrible.
like Grayson said on his channel, he had a video on his channel, and he said, even though I've explained this to Kent over and over again, he keeps repeating the same shit. As if he didn't even hear you. And that's Hovind's whole, that's his shtick. That's what he does.
Yeah.
And I mean, why people don't quit debating this asshole?
I know.
I'm not sure. Oh, where's Kondrashov? Oh, I'm trying to find his paper. Oh man.
The great one was when what was it? Dr. Dan there got one on Praise's channel. What few weeks ago when he did the come and debate Kent Knight. He's doing that. Didn't he just do that? I didn't catch that, or is that coming up? He's doing another one of them.
Yeah,
right?
I saw it fly by, but I just, oh my god.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah. But
okay, Scott's
Dr. Dan jumped on and grilled him a little bit, and then he's like, "All right, yep. The email will be in there, or the check will be in the mail, or something." When he left, remember that? That was funny.
Yeah. Yep.
So speaking of which, Majesty of Reason just uploaded a video, Ontological Arguments from Anselm to Gödel.
Ooh.
Let me get a chance to you if I want to check it out later. It's kind of a different rabbit hole. I'm not saying we should do it now, but I just want to bring it to people's attention.
Should link that.
Alrighty.
Now Scott stepped away. I can't step away, and something is going on that I need to check out. But anyway, okay, I'm going to play this for a little while, see what Sal's got to say.
By geneticist Alexei Kondrashov in 1995. His 1995 paper highlighted a growing suspicion that the human race is decaying genetically and possibly headed toward extinction. Then, in 2017, Kondrashov followed up his 1995 research paper with an entire book entitled The Crumbling Genome. Other scientists, to varying degrees, have raised similar deep suspicions that we are indeed de-evolving. That is to say, each generation has slightly more birth defects than the prior generation. The only debate is the severity of this decay, its causes, and possible cures, if any. A substantial list of scientists who have done work related to human genetic...
Somebody want to stop?
Yeah, so I want to go back to that picture right before this. It's the same guy he showed in the weeds, right? It's the same guy. Now, I don't want to... I just want to point out that is Q, right? That decided to spend some time here with us Earthlings and kind of mess with us a bit. So keep that in your mind there.
Yeah. He's misrepresenting
a substantial list of scientists who have
the only quote unquote scientist that claims that the human genome is crumbling is his buddy. Why did I forget his buddy's name? Who's his buddy? Sanford. Yeah. God. Yep. So easy to forget.
Yeah.
It's like, God, he's not on anybody's radar. I don't know why they let him into the National Institute of Health to give that talk he gave. I guess it was because, he has a reputation, that's about 30 years old, and they let the son of a bitch in to give his creation talk.
Yeah.
Done work related to human genetic deterioration include Hermann Muller, Nobel Prize winner, 1946.
Yeah, all right.
Cornell research professor, legendary applied geneticist and inventor, John C. Sanford.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, he's the only one.
Michael Lynch, National Academy of Sciences.
Michael Lynch says nothing of the kind.
Brian Sykes, geneticist, Oxford University. Peter Catley, University of Edinburgh, Royal Society. James F. Crow, Gerald Crabtree, Adam Meyer Walker.
Crabtree was the guy that came up with this basically lunatic idea about the brain and intelligence decreasing, and he was shot down by every neuroscientist in the world, basically.
And Michael Nachman. Additionally, the question of human genetic deterioration came to the forefront because of a recent dispute between medical researchers versus evolutionary biologists. The dispute centered around experiments conducted by medical researchers funded by the National Institutes of Health. The National Institutes of Health, the NIH, is the most cutting-edge and well-funded medical and biology research organization on the planet. It has such a large staff, its main campus is practically a small town. ENCODE is one of the NIH-funded projects.
Oh, God. Okay. I have to fact check this whole thing and talk about it in more depth. And it's just a bunch of bullshit. He listed people that, like, from 1946 and 1930 that suggested that we have some mysteries about the genome. and it's all bullshit. And Lynch, of course, wrote a little pop piece on the idea of natural selection and fitness were sort of undefined when you cross different fields of biology. They had different definitions of fitness, and Michael Lynch was pointing that out. And Sell, of course, took that to mean there is no such thing as fitness, and it's just all garbage. I can't tolerate this. I'm going to go look at the clouds. I don't know. Are you back, Scott?
Yeah, you're definitely better off than listening to Sal, that's for sure.
I don't know what else.
You'll learn more.
Darwin goes bonkers. Oh, and then he picks on Dan Grar for a while. Oh my God, look at this shit. Look what he did. He's got a picture. Is that Hitler?
It's a reenactment of Hitler.
No way.
Yeah.
And he's got Dan Grar. Oh my God, what a fucking prick. What is wrong with this guy? What is this one? Even my granddaughter gives ENCODE the middle finger. Good. Dan Grar had a problem with ENCODE, and everybody had a problem with ENCODE because the way they presented their research was flat out fucking wrong. They called it functional, and what they should have said is biochemically active. And they had since retracted all that bullshit. And here we go, an old article by Muller from 1950. Okay, that's just proof. What else we got here? Anyway, garbage. Fuck it all. Okay, what else we got, guys?
He's pretty desperate, isn't he? Isn't it sad? It really is.
He's trying to get into that creation circle, in those conferences.
Yeah.
And he's trying to become a key researcher, and he's kicking around the idea of getting a PhD in photonics so he can prove that light gets tired or something.
Yeah, that's right. I heard him mention that. Yeah. That's right.
And the guy is almost 60 years old, so I don't think he's going to ever prove that light gets tired. I mean, even if he does get into physics, he's never going to have any impact in that field at all.
Yeah, definitely
So
not.
I think he should go back to suing churches, which he's good at. What he does best is create havoc among Christians.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Can you imagine his own church, and he almost gets arrested at it and thrown in jail, and now he's suing like
among philosophers who have claimed.
Wow, that's like getting bounced out of your own bar.
Yeah, I know. That you spent 40 years going to.
Well, it's I don't know if it's a narcissistic personality type or if it would be just a guy with emotional problems and self-esteem problems who has been trying to find a place. He's been trying to find a place in this public eye for 40 years or 30 years, and he hasn't really succeeded. So, kind of desperate.
Yeah, all of
Here we
that
go.
is
Descartes,
true.
Plantinga. I don't know how you say that one. Gödel.
Plantia.
Plantia.
Right? Isn't that how it's
Plantinga.
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 Planting. Yeah.
Plantinga.
Plantinga.
James Apperson, this avatar you're using makes you look so thoughtful, almost inspirational. Are you wearing like a uniform with all sorts of colorful medals and ribbons?
Sure, why not?
That would be good. Yeah, you look a little revolutionary. I don't know. Oh, let me go ahead and put this one in the description, your video.
I'm just trying to compete with how fancy you look in your blue hat there in your avatar.
Yeah, I like that hat.
Deconverted man got it right with the Darwin, Charles Darwin. Scott is really Darwin.
Yeah, you didn't know that was actually a picture of Darwin, did you?
Yeah.
You thought it was me.
Oh my God, that is you. No, it's Darwin. No, you're the same thing.
Mind blown. Right.
Mind blown. Yeah.
Mind blown.
Anyway, what else you guys want to talk about? Anything on your mind?
Oh, I'm thinking about streaming today, but you guys got to pick me a topic to stream about.
Let's see. Puppies. I like puppies.
I like puppies.
Kitties.
I'll be there for a stream about puppies. I mean, I'll listen. I won't necessarily participate, but
mushrooms. Stream about mushrooms.
I used puppies as to make a point with my religious sister earlier this morning.
Oh, really?
About analogies, because we were talking about the way that Jesus used in the stories used the analogy of slavery. Right? He compared the relationship dynamic between the father and humans, right, to the relationship dynamic between slave owners and their slaves. And she's like, well, that doesn't prove he's approved of slavery. And I'm like, kind of, yeah, it does, right? Because if you want to make a point about something that you think is good, right, then the analogy that you use refers to something that you also think is good, right? So if you want to say, if you want to use, you want to advocate for a certain kind of behavior with the way that you treat your pets, right? Or the way that you treat your family members, you're not going to use kicking puppies as your analogy unless you either hate your family members or you think it's good to kick puppies, right? One or the other. And this is my point. He either thought that it's awful to have a relationship with his God, or he thinks it's good to have slaves. And I tried to explain that this is the way that analogies work. And she somehow just couldn't grasp what I was trying to tell her.
Yep, I'm sure.
It's like this analogy. Love is like piling the bodies of your enemies at the gate of the village and burning them. Okay.
Right. Right.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah. Make that connection.
Right.
Good.
Yeah, if you compare love to a disease, you're not necessarily promoting love, right? You're casting shade on the concept of love when you do that.
Love is like that itch that won't go away and just keeps bleeding because you can't help but scratch it.
Exactly.
Love.
Exactly.
Well, let's see. What is Ken Ham up to today?
Being narcissistic and pompous.
Picking on Biden. Joe Biden said some horrible things. Apparently, we better check on Biden.
Nerdy is the best human being I've ever rhetorically heard from.
Love is not. Yeah.
Guys, don't eat your enemies. Do not eat your enemies.
Apparently, President Biden said there's no such thing as someone else's children. Our nation's children are all our children. Absolutely wrong. It's absolutely wrong. They're our children. We get to do whatever we want with them. If I want to beat my child, I ain't going to have you telling me I can't beat my child. Because the Bible says I can beat my child. Anti-biblical. President Joe Biden is wrong, anti-biblical, and escalating the war on children and the war on the family, which is ultimately a war on God. Boy, he opened that up with a bang, didn't he?
Wow, yeah.
Yeah, now that's a strong way to start this blog, but it's absolutely true. Consider a recent statement he made while honoring the 2023 National and State Teachers of the Year. He said, what did he say? Okay, quoting a former teacher, he stated, "There is no such thing as someone else's child. No such thing as someone else's child." Why did they repeat that? Our nation's children are all our children. And what do you think of that? Let's judge President Biden's statement against scripture. Why the fuck would we do that? What the fuck would we do that for?
Let's judge it against this delicious recipe for cornbread that my mother used.
Okay. Are our nation's children all our children? No. We should certainly be concerned about and care about children other than our own. Yeah, that's kind of what he's saying. That's all he said. For example, we should fight to protect them from murder by abortion, oh my God, or for research, body mutilating drugs and surgeries, and sexual predation and sexualization from drag queens. When did that happen? And other groomers, many of whom are public school teachers. Citation needed, but we shouldn't view other people's children as our own because, well, they aren't.
You know, I do recall when I was growing up and maybe acting out a little and getting corrected verbally by my grandparents, they would always talk about how when they were kids, and if they acted up across town, somebody else's mom or dad might actually spank them and then send them home. And by the time they got home, their own mom or dad will have heard about what they were doing and also give them a spanking. So where did this idea change that they're all our children is wrong? Because apparently that was the godly thing to do back in the day, which would have been the 20s and 30s, I guess, in this timeline.
Well, actually, in the 50s in Mount Iron, Minnesota, if I was walking down the street and had a potato chip bag and I threw it on the side, some guy would come over and say, "Hey, Bruceneck, you're Charlie's kid, aren't you? Pick that up."
Yeah.
I mean, we constantly got not only corrected, but they would sit down and talk to us about morality and give us stories. And I mean, we were a community of children. We belonged to the community, and it was really clear that we belonged to the community when we were out by ourselves. So I don't really see a problem with that.
Yeah,
that's kind of a safe way to do it.
I'm no expert on the place of children within the community, who do they belong to, who's responsible for their discipline and upbringing and correction and forming of ideas. But I just know that these Christians, like the one writing this article, are just full of it because they just have a convenient view of history. Let's just make up a story or make a claim and backfill it with history the way we want it to be. And that's just kind of what they do. Because basically, when you were growing up in, Depression era America or before, the whole community had a license to whip your ass. So, anyway.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. I mean, who do those principals and teachers think they are putting my kid in detention for beating up another kid? I don't get it. My kid. My kid. Okay, so let's check scripture here. The Father makes known to the children your faithfulness. What the fuck does that have to do with this topic? Okay, let's see. Our children do not belong to President Biden or the government or our neighbors or their teachers. They belong to parents and ultimately to the Lord. But let's check scripture on this. Fathers, do not provoke your children to anger, but bring them up in discipline. Okay, that still doesn't support his theory that the community shouldn't be involved. He commanded our fathers to teach their children that the next generation might know them. the children yet unborn, and arise and tell them to their children, so that who the fuck wrote this shit? I don't.
The
I don't
creator
read,
of the universe.
I don't read the Bible very often, but let's see. So that they should set their hope in God and not forget. Where does this say that the community shouldn't be involved in raising children? Oh, God gives parents, and in particular fathers. Okay, there's some misogynist shit right there. I figured he'd get around to misogyny real soon. As a spiritual head of the household, the father, if my father was a spiritual head of the household, none of us kids would have survived. If my mom hadn't stepped in and grabbed my dad by the fucking scruff of the neck and fucking correct him, we wouldn't have.
I almost could have finished that sentence for you before you even said that.
Yeah.
That, I'm telling you, that your exact words like popped right into my head before you even said it.
Cool. Yeah.
That is funny. Wow.
I mean, yeah. My mom was a fiery Irish lady, and she would correct my father often. Had she not, we'd all be dead. Dad would have killed us. I know it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Family is the first and most fundamental of all human institutions. I think that's primate stuff. That's not God. God didn't ordain that.
Every article I've ever seen in this website, and this is AIG's website.
Yeah.
Yeah. It just sounds like some old dude ranting.
Yeah.
I don't want to be too discriminatory. It's some old lady too, just ranting about the way things used to be in these kids today and blah, blah, blah. It's just, and it's always like that. It doesn't change.
Yeah, and if you look at the beginning of this, okay, like if you believe what he's saying, that all teachers are drag queens that are grooming our children, all teachers, or like most of them, like 90% of them, right? Public school.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's just like, what the? I mean, he's got to bring up that shit, right? All the fucking time, because that's their little axe to grind. And that's just them sticking their nose where it don't belong. Fucking people.
This shit's not even real. Like, they're hurting themselves, right? They are hurting. They're undermining their own grift, because a lot of people are going to go to research that shit, find out it's not true, right? And then at that point, what you think should or shouldn't happen in schools is irrelevant, because Ken Ham just got caught lying to you about what is happening, regardless of how you feel about it.
So you see, the family unit didn't evolve. Oh, tell that to my raccoons out there who have little families, and they take care of their kids, and they scold their kids when their kids, like if the little raccoons come running up to me, the mother will grab them and scold them, and she'll actually scream at them and grab them by the neck and drag them off. It's like, don't go over there. He's a human. You're not. You're a raccoon.
Usually, I've seen them act differently, but usually what you're saying is how it goes.
Yeah.
Usually.
Anyway, God created the family when he created marriage. Well, do raccoons get married? I don't know. They evolved and told the first couple to be fruitful and multiply. Oh, he had to tell them? I mean, you don't have to tell teenagers to do that. I got news for you, dude. You don't need the Bible to tell teenagers to be fruitful and multiply. You leave them in a room overnight, they'll multiply.
Right, but you know why they bothered to put that into the religious book, right?
I'm not sure. Why?
For the same reason the Catholic Church is against birth control. Because they know, because the Hebrews and even early Christians and later Christians, one of the common understandings that they had, and correctly so, was that there is strength in numbers. And if they're going to build their power base, then they need people. Because if you don't have a whole lot of people, then you don't have any opportunity to wield dominant social and political influence in the lands that you live. And so we need people to feel like it's their moral duty to pop out as many babies as possible, generation after generation, because then they're going to, indoctrinate those children to become the next generation of people who will promote their religious ideology and their religious authority socially and politically. And so they needed to write it in there that the creator of the universe said, pop out as many babies as you can all the time.
Okay, Speed, I have the answer. Male raccoons are polygamous or will mate with several females in succession.
So they don't have
Females,
marriage?
however, are monogamous and will mate with only one male and will not tolerate other males after mating has occurred. So they're basically Mormons.
So, okay. So God
That's
created
interesting. They are, as a matter of fact.
God
That is
created
interesting.
limited marriage for polygamous marriage for raccoons. Okay, God did that because He created raccoons, right? And they were on the ark. I'm sure there were raccoons on the ark. Okay, now let's see. We must remember the most important part of education is the spiritual upbringing of children, as that affects their eternity. Ooh, like it's forever stuff, right? We don't have to worry about this life. Indeed, I count everything as a loss because of the surpassing worth of knowing Christ my Lord. For his sake, I have suffered the loss of all things and count them as rubbish in order that I may gain Christ. Okay, what does that tell you? Screw your life. Doesn't matter what you do. The only thing, keep your eye on the eternity because that's the only important thing, kids. I don't know. Parents take this responsibility. Oh, like, be fruitful and multiply. Back in the day when they said that kind of shit, we were very unfruitful in that, child mortality was like, what was it, like 50% or some fucking thing like that. But now that our genome has crumbled, it seems like more humans are surviving than ever before. How does that work if our genome is crumbled? I don't quite get that.
Did I not hear while I was in the background while I was dealing with my dogs that Sal was saying that there were more birth defects now than ever? Did he say something to that effect?
Yeah, he did. He did. And I'd love to know where he got.
Is that at all true? Now,
I have not been able to verify that. I've looked it up, and it is true that we have discovered more genetic defects than ever since we've sequenced the fucking genome.
But he said birth defects. That's kind of different.
He means genetic defects, I think.
Well, yeah, I don't know. That's kind of a shady thing to say then.
Either way, he has no way to verify that, even if it were true, because it's not like people understood anything about or knew about genetics back in the Iron Age, and nor were people collecting data about birth defects across large populations. It just isn't a thing. We can't say, "Oh, look, we've got more birth defects now or different genetic defects now." There's nothing to support his claim about that.
Oh, let's see. Birth defects are common, costly, and critical. Data and statistics. Okay, 1 in 33 babies are affected by birth defects. Roughly 3% of all babies have some kind of birth defect.
So in like 1963, what was that number?
Yeah, I'm trying to find out if they have any timely data here. Let's see. Okay, there's some common ones. I don't know. Anyway, muscle bone defects. I know we're cataloging more and more of them as we are able to decipher the genome now in the last 20 years, and therefore we're going to find more birth defects.
Yeah, well,
Yep.
Well, see, what's the definition of a birth defect? See, that's like a colloquialism, because usually a birth defect is phylogenetic in nature. Like something's deformed, something's missing, something extra is going on. But just having a different, I guess it depends on the range of the genetic difference. Like if you have an extra chromosome or something, then but that's usually going to have phylogenetic effects, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I'm confused there is all I'm saying.
Well, between 2010 and 2019, birth defects increased as a proportion of child mortality in the region from 6.2 to 9.2%. And in 4 countries, Birth defects now contribute to more than 20% of under 5 mortality. So there's something there, but in 4 years, the genome crumbled. I think genomes don't crumble that fast.
Yeah, I think statistics get done differently.
Yeah.
Or you're comparing different data sets.
Yeah. Let's see. CDC found in the United States the rates of infant deaths due to birth. Okay. Though birth defects are still a leading cause of infant mortality, a CDC study found that in the United States, during 2003 to 2017, rates of infant deaths due to birth defects declined by 10%.
There we go.
So there's another one. So that's on the other side of that problem.
Disconfirming numbers.
Well, you got to take and read some stuff in order to figure out what the answer is. So there's no job more important than disciplining your children in the Lord. What the fuck does that mean?
In the Lord.
In the Lord, I shall beat you. I will paddle you for the Lord. Is that what that means?
1, Jesus loves you. 2, Jesus loves you. 3, Jesus loves you.
Oh, if you are thoughtfully and purposely parenting in the Lord, I urge you and your spouse to sit down and discuss your game plan as a family for how you can be purposeful about this job, one that has an eternal impact. Okay, there it is right there, an eternal impact. As our world gets darker, is it getting darker, guys? I don't know. It's pretty sunny here right now. I don't see what he's getting at.
And he's also trying to sell all his little kitty books too. You see the next paragraph there. Homeschool your children. Oh, we have resources.
Oh, here we go. Yeah, answers biblical curriculum. There we go.
There you go. Yeah.
Oh, let's go buy it.
For $12.99, you can educate
I
your
think it's
child.
I think it's a little more than that.
Is that $1,299?
Order now.
Yeah.
Okay, it's the order now. There we go. Order now. You're gonna tell me how much it costs for an order?
Well, how many people in this community have mentioned that their parents used Hoven's videos as their education?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Many people have said that.
That's a crime.
Oh, can you imagine?
Apparently, I get a discount, and it equals $0, so I could actually order these total free. I could order these.
Wow.
Wow.
Look at that.
Look, I could get posters, printed posters, and online video access equips you to confidently teach in-depth biblical truth. Fucking okay, I better take this off screen because it's going to get personal. But I think I'm going to order this stuff. Is it really free? What's the hitch here?
Is it like a sample thing, or is it like?
I'm not sure. I don't know. What am I getting into here?
I don't know.
Oh.
Okay, here's what you need to do: teach it to your raccoons.
Yeah.
And see how it affects their lives. And
well, those are the only children I have. So
yeah.
Let me see here. What at least one field.
And you have abandoned them too. You don't even feed them anymore.
I know I don't feed them anymore. I'm horrible.
But you know, they've learned self-sufficiency. They've gone on and started eating the neighbors' gardens. So
no, but okay, but
education. There you go.
I want to defend myself here. I still verbally thrash them in the name of the Lord.
Oh, in the Lord, okay.
In the Lord, yeah. I teach them lovingly discipline in the name of the Lord. Like, get off my fucking fence. Leave my kitties alone. Okay, what did I not fill out? It says there's a field I got to fill out. I don't get it. Oh, they aren't really going to give these to me for free. Wait a minute. What the fuck? Pre-K? Okay. Oh, I'd like to see the pre-K. Oh, they got some good posters here. Wow. Anyway, I got to get this shit. Add to cart. Totally free. Okay. You keep saying I haven't filled the field out. What have I not filled out? I don't get it. It's a trick.
Something blank?
I don't know. It doesn't have any fucking fields. I don't get it.
Weird. So
yeah, I gotta get the Bible and figure out what field I missed.
I'm thinking I gotta get a therapist. I don't know.
Yeah, you do.
Crazy people online is really starting to
Get to you.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I have a therapist. I'm gonna meet with him tomorrow.
I don't have one.
I have another one that I met with on Sunday. Didn't I, Scott?
I think so. Yes.
Yes. And what we determined that is, I'm crazy. Crazy.
You know what? I didn't tell you guys. I was really upset that On Raw was in my neck of the woods just recently, like in the last week or so. I could have went and met him and everything, and I didn't know.
No,
after the
where?
fact. Yeah.
Where was
he
he?
went to some conference pretty close to me, and I could have went to see him.
Yeah, he was in Fort Worth for DebateCon, but they were charging like $80 for a ticket or something. I thought I can't spend money like that.
Yeah,
but the venue was real close to me too.
Oh, wait a minute. Okay, no, I'm wrong. You know what field I was missing? Quantity.
Credit card field.
Quantity.
Oh, yeah.
Right. So if you go to quantity, by the time I check all these things off, I think I'm at about $1,000. So,
well, I thought it was a free thing.
Yeah, it looks like this. It's let me see if I can show you
what happened to the free thing.
It's hang on a second here. I gotta shrink this down a little bit. Shrinker. Okay. Oh, let's see. Wow, I shrunk it too much. Shrunk it.
No, I was close. Some of those were $9.99, so my $12.99 wasn't that far.
Yeah, you see, you got to fill out the quantity. Okay, they start out at 0, so yeah, fill out quantity. So quantity, I think I want 8 of those. Okay, that's only $279 for 8 of those.
So, yeah.
We get 8 of those. And what else should I get? Yeah, sorry guys, I'm not buying these.
Yeah.
I should buy one though. I kind of like to buy that, like maybe 1st or 2nd grade, and see what kind of bullshit they're teaching them. That would be interesting. I love it.
You know, the thing is, my kids have considered and are still considering homeschooling my grandkids, and they are Christians. So I'm just worried that because the homeschooling is really a big responsibility, and you don't want to pawn it off to the likes of Kent Hovind or Ken Ham or some silly group like that. But then again, secular public schools aren't that great of an idea anymore either. It's scary. You know, I guess you'd have to interview the individual public school and see, you know, do they really teach secular science, or do they sneak Jesus in there either because the teacher has, a religious zeal, or they have to do that kind of both sidesism or whatever. So I don't know. I just worry. I worry about those boys in the future and stuff like that. They're so young.
So Answers TV covers these important topics. Satan Khan sells out. Did beetles feed on dinosaur feathers? And is sex assigned at birth not what God had in mind? And more. Oh. How do we check that out? Answers. Oh, here. Oh,
Leo Phillips is saying that he has a debate on Thursday with somebody named James.
You're on this channel. You'll learn answers.
I'm sorry. Okay, go ahead.
So I just wanted to put that out there, and y'all be on the lookout for that on Thursday.
Okay.
Oh, never heard of this guy, James. Oh, who's that?
I don't know.
4 days ago, Answers TV. Let's see what live says. Okay. Our nation's children are. Oh, here we go. We got a thing on Joe Biden on their YouTube channel. How President Biden is trying to take control of your children. I'm sure that President Biden does not want to pay child support for your children. I don't think he's doing that. let's see, videos. Okay, 4 days ago. NASA doesn't want the shocking truth about James Webb Telescope. NASA doesn't want you to know the truth about this. Doesn't want you knowing this. Oh my God. I got to check this channel out. Anyway, this looks rich. I don't give them enough attention. You know?
As you should.
Look at this little baby climbing a rope here. Right there. You see that? Little baby climbing a rope.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Anyway, strange looking little baby. Kind of looks like an alien. I don't know. That's just me. Okay, we're wandering off into tangents.
Yes. Hey, we got a monkey who just joined us.
Yeah, he
Is he monkeying
James
around?
continues to be so noble looking.
Yes.
I know, right?
He's just monkeying
Noble
around
and
now.
thoughtful and playful at the same time.
Yep.
Yep. Is that a more accurate picture?
Yeah, I thought that was fair.
Okay.
There's an implied
guys.
warning too that if you guys piss me off, I'm going to start flinging poop at you.
Yeah. So we've been going 2 hours.
Yeah.
Just about. Just we're 5 minutes shy.
Yeah.
Time to shoot her in the
Well,
head.
actually, it could be. Yeah, we've been going 2 hours. I keep forgetting that YouTube just doesn't do well with estimating times.
Yeah, doesn't do well with numbers. Yeah. Okay, guys. I think we'll shoot her in the head.
Yep.
It's probably a good idea at this rate.
James, you sound like you're just dying to stream later, so I think you're gonna do it. What do you think?
I think I probably will if somebody gives me a topic to stream about.
The Bible.
You know what? I always ask people in my streams. I'm like, "Hey, what do you want to hear me talk about?"
Yeah.
And people are like, They don't care.
Yeah. You should talk about
But
do a stream
is it
about
just the weather or is it climate change?
Yeah, there you go. Oh, fuck. So apparently there's some kind of omega cell over the Midwest right now that's walling off. Like it's going to be cold in California, cold on the East Coast, and it's going to be like unreasonably warm in Minnesota and Midwest. Have you heard about this?
Yeah, I'm the one that sent you the link.
Oh, you
This
did?
is coming soon, or when is this?
Fuck you, Scott. I forgot that you sent me the link. Okay, anyway. Yeah, but
I never get any credit.
I watch that Weather Channel almost, at least once a week. And so I just thought that I found it. I forgot that you found it. Yeah.
And when is this happening?
Now.
During May, essentially. That was an extended forecast for May.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a big chunk of omega sitting right over the Midwest, and it's walling off everything. And I don't know what's going to happen. It's going to be Armageddon.
Yeah, well, I'm in the east, and we're having terrible weather right now.
Yeah, and we're having wonderful weather here. It's sunny, and it's warming up. It's going to be like in the 70s shortly. And
Is that why you're available to stream, Dave? It's because the weather's keeping you from working?
No, actually, no. It has nothing to do with it whatsoever.
Oh, okay.
It's because he's duct taped to a chair.
He can't get away. Yeah.
Yeah.
He can't get away.
No, the weather does not affect me at all.
Yeah.
As far as work goes.
Yeah. Okay.
Fair.
Yeah.
Okay, kids.
So
I gave up working outside. I work inside all the time now.
Very cool.
James, what?
Yeah. So later on this week, Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I'm supposed to be on Captive Desk's channel. He's going to interview me to talk about my journey and perspective.
That'll be great. Yeah. He does a pretty good interview.
He wants me to sing some bars of Elvis. He says, I've heard you do it before and you do great. And I guess I better start practicing that because I haven't really sang anything since the last time somebody asked me to. It's not like I sit around.
So,
I don't even sing in the shower. Like I just don't sing.
Since you're an Elvis enthusiast, I want to recommend a movie to you. If you haven't seen it already, is Bubba Hotep. With it has Ossie Davis as John F. Kennedy, and Campbell, Bruce Campbell, as Elvis Presley. Bubba Hotep.
Bubba Hotep.
Yes, it's a horror movie, and it's worth watching. It's just so weird yet so good.
That makes sense. So I need to practice for that. That
And watch
interview.
Bubba Hotep.
Yes, and we will all tune in for that.
So here's the clip that he heard me sing from like what it was a year ago now, and I think I sound awful, but I'm gonna share it with you anyways. Hold on, you ready? Are you hear this?
I'm ready.
Crazy clip.
Love me tender, love me true, all my dreams fulfill. For my darling, I love you, and I always will.
Wow.
I think that sounds horrible.
I thought it was pretty good.
That was pretty good.
But I don't even sing in the shower.
Are you an Elvis fan, Julie?
So my father was an Elvis impersonator, and
really?
Actually got to meet Elvis that way when I was very young. What was I, 6 years old or something, and not too long before Elvis died, honestly. And it was in Las Vegas. I don't know. I think it was the Stardust Hotel, and so I got to play with whatever girl my age was there with him and his family. So my dad went on, and he was in his Elvis costume, and I was in a miniature Elvis costume, and then we did a number, and then this other guy came on. See, I thought I was 6, right? So I thought my dad was the star of the show, and this other guy coming on was impersonating my dad.
Yeah.
It wasn't until I got older that I understood that my dad was the impersonator and Elvis is the real thing.
Do you have home movies of that? Do you have any video?
You know, I lost touch with the family some years ago, and there are people that do have that.
Oh my
But
God.
finding people who I would love to, like, that would just be worth so much to me, just to get some of those old footages.
Okay,
So-
everybody out there listening, we have to find this video. We've got to find this video.
Yeah, that would be something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That will follow you around. Yeah, that would be cool. Anyway.
So
Okay.
that would have been in the 60s, I assume, right?
No, it was early 70s.
Early 70s.
70s. Wow. Yeah, that's
So
kind
I-
of when that thing became popular in Vegas.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it still is too, isn't it? Right?
Yep.
Yeah.
I believe it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, are we out?
Yep.
I think we're out.
Okay. Goodbye, cruel world.